Hi all, welcome to the channel, welcome to the workshop. So it's been a while coming, but we finally have the last pack of the Nissan Skyline from the Fast and Furious. Now, I'm not 100% sure why it was delayed. I heard what should have been delayed, but we don't seem to have replacement parts in this issue. So I'll show you exactly what I mean when I get to it in the instructions. But there isn't a lot to do. I've had a flick through, and this is the grand total of parts we have. So very small packs. The first 3 issues are all about just putting the wheels on it. So I've got a top tip actually on the wheels as well. If you are planning on building this car and then potentially disassembling it again, there's a top tip for the wheels, which will make it so much easier to disassemble in future. So yeah, stay tuned for that one. But for the very last time for this build, let's get into it. Let's get building.
Welcome to the workshop. Tools are ready to play. We're gonna build something great, starting here today. Piece by piece we go now.
Right, so here we are, final pack of the Skyline. The first 3 issues I am going to just group together because, as I say, it's all about the wheels. So if I just move these other 3 out of the way, and we'll do a flick through the first 3 issues. So as you can see, we've got the rear, left brake and wheel connections. So we've already got the wheels, apart from one. We've got one wheel they're going to build up today. But we can add that in. Now, the top tip I have is when putting these parts in, cut them short and glue them into the wheel. Don't let them go through to the brake disc because that'll make it so much easier to take this wheel off if you ever plan to. And then this one, we've got a wheel. Again, a full wheel in one issue. Now, I need to glue this because we were told to put it together. And when I took it apart, thinking we were putting both front wheels on, the little lug snapped. And then finally for this one, which will give us all 4 wheels on our vehicle. So a lot of repetitive parts in this one. So we get all these done. Right, so these are the parts we've got in this stage. And as you can see, we just got the rear brake. So I'm going to start off with just assembling the brake disc. Like so. So we've got a couple of pins. I'm just going to line up like so. And then we've got 2 ZP screws. And that's going to secure that together. I'm going to use my little ratchet screwdriver again. Again, rarer tools available from Mike Lane Mods. Try and tighten that enough that it's not loose, but at the same time don't want to strip the plastic. That's better. So we've got that assembled. The other thing we need to do is bring over the car. We need to put our brake disc or brake pads in place. We need our AP screws for this. Now all I'm going to do is just tip the car on its side. Got this mouse pad effectively, which will prevent any scratches. Obviously just watch out for the wing mirrors. basically, we're going to be attaching this just there. And as I say, I'm going to use 2 AP screws to do that. And just load the screw up. Now, I don't know if you've seen the Mike Lane shop tour, but right now, I really want a pixel mat. Because that would make this job so much easier. I don't think the car will roll over, to be fair. But if I knock it, it definitely will. Don't know when the pixel mats are going to be available yet. But if you're doing anything like this and you're at this stage, definitely going to be useful. So with that in place, we can take our disc and pop it on like so. Then we can take the other half of caliper, just line up the 2 lugs and push together like so. Now you can see from here all those little dots, all those holes, that's where the lugs will actually go into from the wheel, but they don't add any structure, so it's so much easier if you don't have the lugs all the way through. So the next point is actually going to be getting our wheel. Now we're looking for the one that has left on it, which might be the last 2 we've got actually. Yeah, so both of these are the left wheel. I don't know if you can actually make that out on camera, but it's got word left written there, so it doesn't matter which one you use. But you can see we've got this large lug here, which goes directly into that point. So those little lugs don't offer any structural advantage at all. It's worth noting there's a little tiny keyhole there, which you need to line up with the brake disc. And you know it's gone in properly because it'll sit nice and flat. So, got a little washer. That's going to pop into there. And then using a DM screw, now I'm going to use a tiny amount of oil just on here to help this go in. I'm going to get that screwed in. Now we'll just loosen that very slightly so that we actually have some movement on that wheel. So that's just like that. Now the last thing to do is put these lugs in, and as I said, what I'm going to do is cut them down quite short, and I'll actually glue these in. So I'm probably cutting them at least in half, and I just find a pair of tweezers, you can just pop them in. You'll soon know whether you've got them the right length or not, because they won't sort of press in. They'll just sort of fall into the gap. And all I did for the front one is I just glued these in place. But there we go, in just like that. So I'm going to put the 5 in there. I won't do it right now on camera, but if you're putting them in properly, then they just push all the way through and they go into that brake disc, as I said. Now we don't seem to have a spare, so if you lose one, good luck. As I say, I'll leave those out for now because I will glue those and put them in differently. But that is all there is to do in that stage. There's actually one last thing to do in that stage, actually, which is put the little logo in place. And that just presses in. Now, if you need to move that at all, I found a very fine blade just tucked underneath. Will work quite well. Right, so the final wheel for this build. Now this is the rear right wheel, I believe, but it's not the one we're putting on the car in this stage. We're going to be putting the front left wheel on in this stage. So just confuse things. But we've got our tyre. Now what we're looking for is the right side. So these tyres are exactly the same. So we've got a left side and the right side. It's the right side that we want to make sure is going to be facing outwards. So what we need to do is take our narrower ring, put that one in there, take the larger ring. Now, I don't believe I've used hot water on this wheel before. Let's put the larger one in first. Takes a push, but that larger ring will go in. That narrow one seems to go in a lot better. If you are struggling, just soak the tyre in some hot water. Right, so with that in there, so the narrower ring is on the side that says right, the wider ring is on the side that says left. We're then going to take our detail piece, pop that in there, line up the holes, and then we've got ABM screws, so 3 of those, to secure that together. I'm just going to use my longer reach screwdriver rather than the ratchet one for this. So that's all those in there. Get all those tightened up as well. That is our wheel. Now we're going to leave that onto one side because we now need to find the brake caliper that we got in issue 14. Right, so this is the brake caliper, and as I said, the lug snapped. So when we were told to take that apart, the lugs just broke. So I'm going to end up gluing that one. Now, as you can see, it doesn't actually glue together very nicely. So I'm just going to have to sand these down and get them so they match up a little bit nicer. I think the lug sort of moved as I tried to pull it apart, and then yeah, and then broke. So I'm going to fix that first, and then we'll get that on the car. Right, so I've just glued that in place off camera. Obviously, I've just put the AP screws in this back section. I've put the disc on, and then all I've done is glue this front piece in place. I'm just at a point where I'm just letting that set. And then for the last bit of the stage, it is just putting the wheel on, which obviously I've shown you just a minute ago for the rear one. Just make sure that you get the left one, which is marked left. So not the one that we've just built in this stage, which has right. You want to take this one with the left. Basically, you can see all these lines. They should be pointing in the direction that the car is traveling. So in the forward direction. So if you ever get confused which way around they are and you can't read the writing because it's so small, just look at the tread pattern. And you can see the tread pattern. Basically, think of the arrows on the top of the wheel. They need to be facing the front of the car. So I'm going to get this wheel in place while that glue sets. And then we'll move on to the next stage. Right, so stage 107. And very similar to how we started this build pack, we're going to just put those together and use 2 ZP screws just to secure that together. Bring it over the car. Again, I'm just going to try and lay it on its side. Now with this way I can actually lean it against myself, so a little bit safer. So again, just going to take our bracket and using 2 AP screws secure that in place. Put our disc into place. Then the other side of our caliper can be pushed over the top, like so. And then we can take our wheel. Now this one, just thought I'd show you, I have, as you can see, put those lug nuts in. and as you can see, they don't stick through. So I've just cut them all off and I've glued them in, because you might say, oh, but that links it to the disc, so it spins together. Well, it doesn't really, because you've got that keyway as well, and that keyway is going to lock into there. So just going to line that up, get that dropped down into place, and as you can see, as I spin that wheel, the disc also spins. Now I'm going to secure that with a DM screw along with this washer. Again, just not going to do this too tight, so we do have some movement in the wheel. And to be fair, these wheels are not going to wobble even if you don't do that up too tight, because of the way they're constructed. So that's actually all wheels now on this vehicle. Now, obviously, you do need to put the center cap in there, which is just a push fit. Again, as I say, if you ever need to remove this, then using a flat blade just around the edge, it seemed to come out quite nicely. So when Fanhome do something about the doors, or the stripes, or whatever they're going to do, you can still remove these. Now, I would say if you're planning on doing that, don't push them like really hard in. But that's all there is to do in that stage, and we can now put the car on its wheels for the final time. I still need to put all the caps in and everything else, but I'll do that in a minute. Right, I'm going to finish off the build with these 3 magazines, mainly because they seem to be all like 2-minute jobs each. So it's not going to take very long to do this, and you're not going to want to see the little break every 2 seconds. So in this one, we've got the wipers. So just putting those in place. We've got a couple of BM screws here. Now, if you've seen my social media previously about the wings, etc., you'll notice that I've already put those screws in. I don't know why we didn't get told to put those in when we put the wings on, because that would have made things so much easier. I don't know if I did put BM screws in or not, but as I say, I've got some screws in there anyway, so I'm not obviously going to do that. And then we've got the rear wiper going in place. Then 109. We have the rear windows, and that's just a case of put some adhesive in place, put the window in, and do the exact same thing for the other side, and that's it. And then 110. Now this is where we were apparently waiting for some parts. So we got the carpets, we got these little blocks as well you can stick the car up on. So just the interior carpets, just popping those in. Now, these parts, you may remember in issue 84, we had these. Now, in that same issue, we had some email about, or a letter about LEDs. Well, they weren't LEDs, they were these strips. Now, I thought, like everyone else, that they were remanufacturing these and they were going to replace them. These are the originals that I got in issue 84. Now, as you can see, they've got sticky going on there, and they just pop in. Now, as you can see, these actually have studs on the back. So, as I thought, they're basically just redoing these because I think one of these goes where the screw goes. So, all I'm going to do is just cut these off, put the sticky on, and then put them in place. We did not get any replacement parts of these. So, I don't know what the delay was in the magazine, because as far as I can see, we haven't had any new parts. Unless they redone these instructions to allow for putting the sticky back on, I don't know. But if they did that, then why wouldn't they manufacture those? If they delayed it on just this purpose, because we can easily just cut those off. and then put the sticky on. So I don't know, but that's where we are, and they do expect you to put it on blocks. I won't be. I don't put any of mine on blocks, to be fair. They do say about putting the boot struts in place. Now, I did actually do that when I put the car together. Again, don't understand why they left it until now. But that is our finished GTR. So let's get on with it. Right, so if I just roll the car back in, we've got obviously the free wipers. Now they all are different, as you can see. So we've got the rear wiper, we have the driver's side wiper, and the passenger side wiper. So we'll start off with this one. And we basically just need to open the bonnet up. Now, I don't know how clear this is going to be shown on camera, but there is a hole just there. So we're just going to pop that through like this. And then just press that into that hole. Right, so that's those two front ones in. This one doesn't sit down very well onto the windshield there. So what I might do is use a little bit of heat and actually bend that arm. So I'll take it off and I'll just bend it at this point, and then hopefully it will force it down a little bit. Then we've got the rear wiper, and that's just going to go onto the back here, into that hole. And that's just going to sit like that. And that's all there's to do in that stage. So in 109, we do have these self-adhesive double-sided tape. We've basically got a couple of spares, it looks like, which is great. These shorter, wider ones, see if I can get one off. I'll just tilt the car on its side. I'll show you on this side first. It's just going to go just there. And then we've got two of these narrow ones. One's going there and one's going there. So I'll get those in place. Right, so those strips are in place, and with that adhesive exposed now, we've got two lugs on this window. That's just going to line up with those two holes. Right, so just going to put the window in on this side. Again, just going to put the adhesive strips in first. And then taking our window, we've got two lugs on the back there. And just going to line those lugs up with the two holes in the side. And we'll just get that pressed in. So that is our side window in. So we'll now move on to our final stage. We do have several of these adhesive strips again. We've got strips, and we have these for the carpet, I believe. Now, they're not carpet, they're just like little rubberized mats. Now, personally, I probably won't stick these down. And I'm probably just going to lay them in the footwells. They should stay there. I'm sort of hoping that maybe Mike Lane or someone will come up with maybe some proper carpet or proper mats like the back mats. So I'm just going to place those in. I'm not sticking them in. Actually got those the wrong way around. They are marked left and right. So the smaller one is the driver's side. And then we've got the passenger side. So they'll just sit in there. They don't need to be stuck down, in my opinion. And again, they gave us a spare sticky pad for that. And then the final thing, to finish off this build, is apparently the bit that has potentially held it up all this time. We just roll the car back so you can see the bonnet, hopefully. Are these pieces. Now this is the left side. So that's just going to sit in there, and you can see that I've got a couple of screws in there already. Now they do have a couple of holes you can see, but I think with the wing being on now, you can't actually get those in. Hopefully you can see on at least one of the cameras, but yeah, they just will not go in. So that's why we need to take those pegs off and then we actually stick them in. So I'm just going to take off those pegs, like so. I'll use my sanding stick just to smooth them out. So this is the left side. So let's just do a quick test fit. Okay. That's definitely marked with an L, but I'm sure that fits better in the right hand side. Right, so after a little bit of faffing, I have worked out it is the correct way around. So we've got left and right. What I have done though is just cut one of these strips in half. It doesn't need to be as long as it is, and you definitely won't need two of them. So just take that adhesive off there, and it's just sitting over the top of these holes, but it does need to tuck underneath the wing slightly. So it's going to sit just like that, and as you can see, the bonnet shuts absolutely fine. So what I'm going to do exactly the same thing for this one. So just going to cut off these, file them down, put a couple of bits of sticky on, and then I'll put that one in there as well. Right, so just going to get that one pushed in so it's slightly under that wing. Again, I've only used a bit of adhesive front and back, which is more than enough to get that stuck in place. And with that in place, that's all there is to do in that stage, all there is to do in that build pack, and all there is to do with that build for the Nissan Skyline. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please hit the like button below and give us a massive thumbs up. So that's the Nissan Skyline done. And as you can tell, I've turned off a few of the lights in the workshop just because this car looks absolutely stunning, all lit up. So we've got the side lights on there, and then if I press this button, we've got the dip lights, and then we've got the main light there as well. Now I have changed those LEDs for bright white as opposed to the warm white that was supplied, just because I think it looks a little bit better. Not screen accurate, I know, but I think it just looks that little bit nicer with all this nice blue underglow, the interior glowing, etc. It just looks that little bit nicer, I think. We obviously do have hazards as well. So all the indicators flashing away. If I turn those off, we do have individual indicators as well, which you can see there. But I'll put the hazards back on. And if I just spin it around this way, you can see all the rear lights there, looking absolutely fantastic. Also, we've got the lights on. I can show you the rear fog light. And we've also got the reversing light. Now, if I turn off all those lights, the fog light goes off as well. But I can also hit the brakes and show you the brakes lighting up as well. Interesting enough, when hitting the brakes, these stay on for a little time. I don't know if they actually turn off, but most of the time you're probably going to be displaying with the lights on anyway, because it does look absolutely fantastic with all those lights on. And had to show it off in the dark because it certainly illuminates the space here. And if I just turn on the workbench lights now, you can see the lighting sort of gets a little bit washed out. But it's a nice looking car, day or night. Now these blue lights, they don't show up really well on the camera with the lights shining down on it, but they still really do glow even in daylight. So it does look absolutely fantastic. And obviously you can have any of these headlights on in whichever order you like. You can't separate the neon glow on the inside, etc., to the headlights, the side lights at least. But more than likely, you're going to have it on all the time. Certainly, if you've done what I've done, which is power mod it, looks absolutely fantastic. Also, we've got that little LED in the boot as well, with the screen. Not much really in there, but could have done a little bit more detail in there probably, but you don't actually ever see that. So they probably done a bit of guesswork, or they had the original car to check what was actually in there, because you never saw that. But I have to say, is one stunning looking model, and it does look absolutely brilliant. I do need to still put the little caps in and the lug nuts, but other than that, this model is finished, and I'll do a couple of little beauty shots for you. But it might be until when it's a little bit darker outside, and I'll do some nicer shots outside for this thing, because it's going to look really, really good lit up at night. But fantastic model. Had some issues along the way, most notably obviously those short cables in the rear here, but the extensions from Mike Lane solved that problem. I know some people had issues getting this front end down when putting the body on. The longer screws that I suggested using has solved that, as well as putting those BM screws in first of all when you're first putting this body on, as opposed to waiting until this stage. Not sure why we were told to wait until this stage for those two screws. They've been in since I put the body on, so yeah, not sure on that one. But I have to say, it does work really well. I would suggest not putting the bumper on if you haven't got that far yet. If you haven't put the body on, don't put the bumper on until after the body's on. Someone on Facebook mentioned that, and I have to say that does work really well. You can put the bumper on after the fact, and it makes it a little bit easier to get everything lined up as well. But absolutely fantastic model. If you want to get one for yourself, I do believe it's still available from Fanhome. So check out the links below. Obviously, there'll be links there for Mike Lane as well, so you can get the mods, etc. I think that there might be something special coming with this. I don't know how long away it might be from Mike Lane, but I'm sure he's got something in the works. Obviously, at the minute, he's working on the DeLorean, and obviously just done the Bat circuit. But with the Bat circuit, there's still the Bat Dash and the mobile crime computer. So Mike's got lots and lots of things going, and obviously he's one person, although he does have a very small team. It takes time to do these mods, etc. So it might be a while before we see anything for the Skyline, if we see anything at all. But I'm sure there's going to be something coming at some point, even if it's down to just carpets. I'd like to see a nice set of mats in there, similar to what we had in the Batmobile. Rather than those little rubberized things that we were given on this one. But as I say, still an absolutely stunning model, whether it's stock or modded. Absolutely fantastic. Now, obviously, don't know what Fanhome are going to do about these stripes on the side at the moment. I think they're replacing the door and the side skirts. Obviously, if that's the case, then the body needs to come off to replace the doors. But obviously, I'll show you how that comes apart if you've decided that you're going to build your model up. It's not horrendous, I have to say, but once you see it, that the stripes don't line up very well, and they're sort of in the wrong place. It's one of those things that every time you look at it, it's sort of like, yeah, well, could be better. But hopefully Fanhome are going to be fixing that for us. So thank you very much, Fanhome. Depending on what Fanhome come up with that, I do have another solution in the works for those stripes. So keep an eye on the channel for that as well. But as I say, if you want to get this for yourself, check out the links below. And if you want to see what else goes on in the workshop, please do remember to hit the subscribe button and ding the bell for notifications. That way you won't miss out on future videos. And I'm just going to leave you with a few beauty shots of this vehicle, which I have to say does look absolutely stunning. So thank you very much for watching.